The six-figure trap. My sister, Vanessa, has spent the last 24 years treating life like a competition that I didn't even sign up for. Ever since we were children, she had this insatiable need to overshadow absolutely everything I did. If I got a minor promotion at my office, she went out and bought a brand new luxury car she couldn't afford. If I bought a modest, cozy house in a quiet suburban neighborhood, she suddenly declared that she needed a massive vacation home. But her 2026 luxury summer wedding was designed to be her absolute magnum opus. She wasn't just marrying a guy. She was marrying a high society lifestyle that she desperately wanted to project. The real problem was that this entire million-dollar party was being built on a fragile foundation of heavily maxed-out credit cards, unpaid vendor invoices, and a massive, dangerous reliance on expected wealthy family gifts. At the rehearsal dinner, surrounded by the city's wealthiest elite, politicians, and socialites, Vanessa decided to take a public shot at me during her grand speech. She looked at my simple, modest dress, smirked into the microphone, and joked about how some of us in the family struggle with basic math and career choices, while others just possess the magic touch for success. The room filled with polite, awkward laughter, but she was absolutely beaming with pride. That was the exact moment I decided I was done playing her games. I slowly stood up from my table, walked to the front of the stage with absolute confidence, and handed her a heavy, cream-colored envelope. I leaned into the microphone and told her, "Since you're so incredibly worried about my math and my financial status, here's a six-figure head start on your brand new life." The entire room went dead silent. She eagerly tore open the envelope, pulled out the bank check for $100,000, and her eyes didn't just light up. They literally turned into greed-filled dollar signs. She didn't even bother to say thank you. She just looked at the wealthy crowd, held the check high, and declared that it was finally a gift that matched her true worth. She had absolutely no idea that the piece of paper in her hand was worth exactly as much as her fake personality. By the night of the grand reception, Vanessa wasn't just a bride. She was a self-proclaimed billionaire in her own mind. She'd actually hired workers to set up a massive, gilded easel right next to the towering 5-tier wedding cake. On that easel, she had mounted a giant, oversized cardboard prop version of my check, displayed like a sparkling trophy for all of high society to gaze upon and admire. During the formal champagne toast, she decided she hadn't insulted me enough, so she went straight for the jugular. She gestured grandly to the massive prop check and looked directly at my table with a mocking sneer. She spoke into the microphone, saying she wanted to thank her sister for finally realizing that some people were born to live in the penthouse, while others are just meant to be the background noise. She then loudly promised that she would be sure to mention my name to her interior decorator when they were furnishing their expensive new villa in Italy. She was credit card tapping her way through an incredibly expensive million-dollar night, recklessly ordering extra cases of vintage imported champagne and upgrading the catering on the spot, because she genuinely believed she had a $100,000 cash safety net waiting for her in the bank on Monday. I sat quietly at my table, slowly sipping my water, and watched her tag every luxury fashion brand and high-profile influencer she knew in her constant Instagram stories. Every single ping of a new notification on her phone was just another nail in the coffin of her social reputation. She was happily building a digital monument to her own instant wealth status, and I was the only person in that entire grand ballroom who knew the foundation was made of nothing but thin air. Monday morning arrived, and while Vanessa was likely dreaming of sunny Italian estates, I was sitting in a plush leather chair inside the private office of her bank. I had called ahead to ensure the branch manager was personally present for this meeting. When I handed him the original document, the actual check the prop version was based on, he didn't even need to run it through the electronic scanner. He just looked closely at me, then back at the printed paper, and let out a heavy sigh. He looked at me and said, "Ma'am, this is a theatrical movie voucher. It is highly sophisticated and looks incredibly real, sure, but it has absolutely zero monetary value in any banking system." I politely thanked him for his time and walked out of the building. An hour later, my phone started vibrating so violently it nearly fell completely off my office desk. It was Vanessa. She wasn't just screaming. She was utterly hysterical, sobbing, and hyperventilating. She had just tried to place a massive, non-refundable down payment on a European estate using the funds she thought were sitting in her account. Instead, the bank's security system had instantly flagged her account for potential fraud, locked her out, and frozen every single asset she had. She shrieked through the phone, demanding to know where her money was. I stayed completely calm, leaned back in my office chair, and replied softly. I told her, Vanessa, I gave you exactly what you asked for, a gift that matched your true worth. You spent 20 years of your life faking everything about yourself, so I simply gave you a fake gift to celebrate it. The post-wedding brunch was originally meant to be her grand, final victory lap. Instead, it turned into an absolute crime scene of social standing and public humiliation. The local vendors, the florist, the luxury caterer, the musicians, and the venue manager had all seen her arrogant social media posts bragging about the massive six-figure gift she had received. Now that the bank had frozen her actual accounts for the fraud investigation, none of her credit cards would clear, and she couldn't pay a single bill. They were all standing in the lobby of the hotel, furious and demanding their money, refusing to let her leave. I watched as the absolute self-proclaimed girl of the season realized her entire reputation was built on a mountain of unpayable debt. Her high society friends weren't offering to help her. They were busy whispering to each other, laughing quietly, and quickly deleting every single photo they had taken with her from their social media pages. She tried to scream and point her finger at me, hysterically accusing me of sabotaging her entire marriage and life. But our father finally stepped in, having seen enough of her entitlement. He looked at the massive mountain of credit card statements she had left behind on the table, shook his head in deep disappointment, and told her that I didn't sabotage her. He said I had simply stopped pretending for her, and it was time for her to face reality. Vanessa is currently living in a tiny, cramped studio apartment on the edge of town and working 2 exhausting retail jobs just to pay off the massive interest on her $1,000,000 ego. I still keep that gilded easel from the reception in my house. It serves as a great daily reminder. If you build your entire life on a foundation of lies, don't be surprised when the truth costs you absolutely everything. If you enjoyed watching Vanessa's incredible journey from an arrogant bride to a complete reality check, do not leave without showing some love. Smash that like button right now, hit subscribe to Chronicles, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our weekly doses of sweet, satisfying justice. Drop a comment below. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Until next time, stay strong.